Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to the Game Week 10 pod of the FPL Wire. Happy Diwali to all our listeners. I'm your host, Zoph, and I'm joined by my co hosts, Late Riser and Pras. The news just broke before the pod that Eric Ten Hag has been sacked, and we have a Chelsea fan's perspective on it. How are you feeling, Elar?
Uh, I think nothing much changes. I still expect Chelsea to beat United this weekend. That's that. But on a more serious note, I think it was long due. We could have done it in the international break. I don't know why we waited right now. For now, it just seems like it's the United way to do. Uh, Thank you to Ten Hag. I genuinely thought it worked. It would have worked out at the onset of his appointment. I had belief in him. I'm generally very optimistic as a United fan as well. But I don't think he's a bad manager. I think he's more suited to a team where a structure is set rather than a team where a structure is trying and an attempt to set up a structure is getting made. So if United were maybe 3 or 4 years more into the transition under a proper DOF and a proper structure in place, he could have maybe done well. But things had gone way far off the center of the needle for this to stick. So yeah, looking forward to what happens in the future.
Pras?
I mean, nothing more to add. Yeah, it was time. It was time probably in the summer. It's one of those things everybody knew he had to go, and then you win the FA Cup, and then now it's a lose-lose situation. Like if you sack him after the FA Cup, there'll be many people saying, "Look, he got us a trophy," but that was in hindsight the right time to do it. Like now you're scrambling mid-season, you'll probably have an interim appointment for weeks. It's not ideal, but look, the season is going nowhere anyway. Like we've become a cup team anyway, so I think the cups are yet to start, so we're still in it.
I mean, you know
Plus,
who
we're
the right
seven
man for
points
the
off
job
fourth,
is,
by
of
the way.
course. Frank Lampard. He's available. You know that
I
he's going
know.
to train Dalot to put the ball in the net.
7 points are fourth, but LR, like we are not even close to the fifth, like in terms of performance. Like there were a lot of
No, I understand in terms of yeah,
Chelsea is the
it's
clear fourth
optimistic.
this year.
Chelsea's the clear fourth. I understand, but in terms of the season that has been played so far, we're only 7 points off fourth. If we do happen to find our balance and are able to perform and are able to be a decent team, I feel like it's far from the season being over. That's all.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like 7 points already to a team that is looking much better than us is difficult to catch up. Not obviously, I'm more pessimistic, and I think people who listen to us on the pod have gotten used to this. That I have basically the glass half empty view of Man United, and so yeah, we'll see. Look, I think the problem is the timing seems strange because simply they don't have a clear appointment, and they have delayed until they get a clear appointment. They still don't have one but the water is over the head to such an extent that they're like, dude, like let's just get, Nistelrooy to interim manage and then we look for somebody. Even that's better than keeping him. And so we don't know how long it will take to find a replacement.
Whoop de whoop in the chat says that Zoff looks so happy. It's quite the opposite. I'm devastated. I'm completely shocked and disappointed. I mean, what more could he have done, man? Honestly, yesterday's game is a strange one to sack him right after, right? I think you guys were obviously clearly the better team. You see the chances that Garnacho, Dalo,
Especially in the
etc.
first half.
missed. What more can a manager do in that sense, right? So I do understand on the serious note what you guys are saying, but on the back of that, it does feel a little bit harsh.
It
And a
was
bullshit
like
penalty
I think
also. Let's mention that as well.
yeah. I think what happened was they decided that this would have happened, and I think they would have developed a plan in place if shit went through the roof, so to say. So they were waiting for that. It just seems like the international break and the Spurs result was the right time. But I feel like they also made the decision in the summer, right? So maybe even though shit hit the roof, they had to back their decision a little in terms of extending the contract. There's a part of me that also feels like uh, there is in their head probably no clear option. There's no Klopp or Pep in the market. Probably why they extended Ten Hag as well. So like the process that they spoke about when they were rehiring Ten Hag was he was viewed as one of the 7 or 8 candidates that were getting considered. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm hoping at least that this route appointment leads to some fun games. I mean, the problem is also not the chance creation, right? It's just, I mean, I think United are top of the league for big chances missed so far this season. 22 big chances missed by our team. But just, I think it leads to a newer horizon, much more optimism for fans because my optimism died as a United fan. And this is just giving us something else to hold on to before it goes back to shit again.
Truly sad day.
Yeah.
let's, let's get to a sponsor plug. A lot to talk
Wait,
about
I
with
have
this.
to I have to also vent my triple captain, man.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Let's do the triple
I mean,
captain. We'll
coming
talk
back to
about it.
FPL, man, like what a week. Like Haaland gets his second highest XG ever for City, and he gets 6 points. I mean, incredible. Like I don't know, what did you guys, you guys were captainers, so you were in the middle, right? You were not like there were non-owners who got away with it like massively. You guys captained but didn't triple captain. How did you feel?
It was a strange one for me because like I was very, very close to the triple captaincy. I think a bit more than LR was. I had literally toggling on and off in the last 5 minutes, and in the end, I just decided if I wasn't 100% confident, I wouldn't play it. Simply for that reason. So I sort of watched that game as somebody like for the first time on the peripherals who doesn't own Haaland. I knew I
Right.
had captained him, but I effectively didn't want him to score because that's how the mind works. If you're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
make
yeah.
a decision, you just like okay, fine. You want something to justify the decision you made. So it was scary, man. I thought he easily could have had. But the thing is, though, first half wasn't great. After
Yeah.
he got the goal, you expect the floodgates will open, but he did not get that much service in the first half. It all came in the second.
The last 30 minutes, man. Like anyway, look, what I would say is that's what FPL is, right? You
How,
can
how
only
how was the
control.
experience watching that? Like genuinely, like
So
what
it
I
was not
wanted to
on
know.
TV, right? So basically, this is the problem in the UK. You bloody triple captain, you can't even watch them live. But I was basically watching it or following it on text messages and whatever. I have still not watched. I've only seen images of those final misses that he's had, the one-on-ones, the one header, the tap in. I've seen images. I just cannot watch it, man. Like it's fine. I feel it's out. Like there is the counterbalance view to these things. Like let's imagine Haaland scored another goal, right, and got three bonus, and Saka didn't show up. I would get Semenyo 1 point. I would have the same score. So ultimately, you have to think of these things as it's fine. It's not the end of the world. You always make it into this episode of when will I play my triple captain? You get a return. It's not the end of the day. So end of the world. So that's my very practical view about these things. But as a triple captainer, I still haven't watched the Man City highlights because I know it's not going to be healthy for me to watch some of those misses.
But I'll tell you what, the images are worse than the highlights. I feel like you might be better off feeling better after watching the highlights as well. I've seen the images that are being thrown apart on Twitter, and honestly, like my view of the triple captaincy chip, like the more I thought about it during the week, the more it got crystallized in my head, where it's actually not a very important chip,
Yeah.
strategically speaking. It's just a chip that's got a very high ceiling. That's about it. Like you can influence your season quite massively, but you need luck and variance on your side to do that. It's not a strategically important chip. So, you took your shot and it wasn't a complete miss and you move on. That's about it.
That's exactly. And you know what? I feel like because he scored first in the first 6 minutes, me included, right? All the triple captainers were dreaming out, oh, 5 goals here, 6 goals here. What is
Yeah.
the maximum any player has scored? And then you basically end up with only six. That hurts way more than, let's say, if he was Blanke and he scores in the 78th minute, right? And then you're like, okay, fine. At least it was there. At least we got 6 points. So the mindset because he scored early, and the same thing I feel with Saka, with Palmer, like very glad to own all three, but it felt like because they only scored one, you were like, oh, okay, fine, it was okay. But actually, the outcome of all three premiums, if you own all three scoring, was a huge green regardless of triple captain.
Yeah, 71 points plus. I mean, if you look
Yeah.
at what's happening on Twitter, you're at least 15 to 20 points above average at the moment.
And if you
So,
remove the 6 points for triple captaincy, which was basically one Haaland, right? 65
yeah.
is very, very good.
Also,
So
like
I'm
Edison
generally
chipped
happy
in
with the
plus. You
score.
just have to assume that Edison.
Edison has outscored
Yes.
Raya by 6 points. How can I complain about this week?
Exactly, man. Exactly. In a good position, man. It's just a good
Yeah.
week to have. I think that sort of maybe that helps take the little frustration off the chest. The recommendation is a friend. Watch the highlights tonight before the Diwali celebrations begin.
Would
Will
be
do.
interesting now. I think we're going to, a lot of our discussion now in this pod is going to be about talk about selling Haaland, and I wonder if the discussion would have been different had he scored a hat trick on the weekend, right?
Definitely would have.
Definitely would have. So let's see how that goes. Let's start now with our sponsor plug.
As always, there's a lot of data on this podcast, and everything that you see is from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. Uh, I just recommend you become a member. I don't even want to say if you want to become a member because I think it's just that important, especially with the clogged November, December period coming up, because you're not going to have time to watch every game and every highlight when there's going to be midweek football every weekend. And the best way to catch up is a 15-20 minute browse through the stats and the members area, which gives you a good perspective on the games, which helps you with making your decisions faster. So click on the link in the description below and become a member.
And as you guys know, NordVPN has been a long-term partner of the FPL Wire. If you're bored of the streaming libraries in your country, with NordVPN you can access content outside your region, get access to a wider library on your favorite streaming services, and if you're traveling outside your country, you can access your home library content. Every purchase of the 2-year NordVPN plan using the link nordvpn.com/the FPL Wire will receive an additional 4 bonus months on top. TV show recommendations, guys? Anything? Blank? I don't see anything coming. Plus, still watching From, right? Plus, you're muted.
Sorry, I'm watching From, and Emily in Paris is back, man. This is final 5 episodes. That's what I'm watching.
You missed the Q&A, by the way. There's a big reveal that LR is quite up to date on that show as well.
What?
Oh, are you?
What? I have no idea what we're talking about here.
I thought what happens in the member stream stays in the member stream.
Stays in the Zoph, you can't break the bro code there.
Okay, fine. We won't talk about no fabulous lives either.
But yeah, message me, LR. Okay, we'll discuss.
Yeah. Basically, I admitted to Zoph that I like to watch trash TV, and I actually think it's a very underrated form of content, especially in this ecosystem where I'm quite. I have quite a fair amount of ADD. I can't focus on a show for more than 20-25 minutes. So this helps be on your phone, scroll through Twitter, watch a show, spend time with your wife, all of that together. So
Zoph, when he gets married, he'll understand. Like, these shows are very important. They're the glue behind every successful marriage. Emily in Paris.
Yeah. Zoph, any show recommendations from your side?
I downloaded Lioness. I think that looked quite interesting. I watched that season 1 of that Zoe Saldana's show. That looked quite interesting. I'm waiting for Disclaimer to wrap up. I think that's 4 or 5 episodes of that. And Pras has been reminding me today to start From. I think I need to get on that.
Yep. Diwali breaks the night time to do that.
Yep. So Nord also has an efficient anti-malware and anti-spyware protection tool. It highlights any attack and deletes it before it makes a mess of your computer. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/the FPL Wire. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Sign up using the link in the description below. Right. Let's get started, guys. And let's tackle the big Norwegian in the room. We have some of his numbers here. Ella, why don't you walk our viewers through it?
I mean, 8 shots is the highest amount of shots he's had in 24-25 this season. If you look at his XG in the other games this season, he's the highest so far this season. And only once in his career has he had a higher XG than this. That just tells you all you need to, right? Like, there's 2 aspects to it. Like Pras, you feel even worse about the bad variance that you got.
I was wiping my tears.
Yeah, over the last weekend. And B, that influences your decision, where, I mean, it surprised me when I got to know that there's a lot of people selling Haaland, because I'm like, isn't this the best indication of what you really want to see from a player? And I mean, people are citing fixtures and all of that, and like, there's a part of me that thinks I actually am licking my lips now that people are selling Haaland, because Brighton and Spurs is coming, and those games just suit him. So I'm happy for people to sell Haaland, and if you're listening to the pod, I don't think you should sell him, because I think Brighton and Spurs are great fixtures for Haaland. After that, before Liverpool and Newcastle, if you talk to me about selling Haaland to fund other players, fair enough, but not before that, in my opinion.
Russ, what's your view on this? And we know where the cartel leader is pointing on this.
Who's the cartel? Oh, cartel leader is basically saying sell Haaland, man. Do whatever. Get Raul Jimenez, get Cunha, get whoever you want. Just basically, it's not about saying sell Haaland. It's about saying you need Salah. And I think the way to think about it is basically, if you go to the captaincy matrix, if you have it, basically the cartel leader, which, by the way, people who don't know, is basically FPL Review, the model that a lot of people follow, is basically saying, guys, game week 10, Salah is the best captain. Game week 11, Son is the best captain. Game week 12, maybe you can say Haaland, but it's close if you wanted to go Saka, or if you wanted to go even Salah again, Southampton. So next 3 games, you could argue that Salah is a better captain than Haaland as a block. Then you get to game week 13 when he plays Liverpool away, when, again, Son has Fulham at home, or you can have Palmer, who's at Aston Villa at home. You get to game week 14, Palmer has Southampton away. So even though he has Nottingham Forest, then Game Week 15, he's Palace away. Then Palace away actually is one of the fixtures where there's no clear sort of somebody who can match him. You can say Palmer maybe away to Spurs. But then the idea here is to say that over the next 5 weeks, there is not a clear captaincy week for Haaland. So it's not that Haaland won't score points in this period. It's the point that if you get a Salah instead of a Haaland, you can have a striker who's better than Rodgers. So basically, the trade off is Rodgers plus Haaland versus, let's say, Cunha plus Salah plus Trent instead of your 4.5 defender. I think that's the rough trade off that people are looking at. So I don't think it's a clear yes or no either. Like when I see people doing it, I think, yeah, sure, it can work out, but it can completely blow up in your face, like LR is also saying. So I don't have a view as such that don't do it or do it. I just think going Haaland or Salah instead of Haaland, that's not a guaranteed win. And by the way, I used Trent, but I don't think you can get Trent and Cunha because if you think about Rogers is 5 million, Haaland is 14.5, almost
15.4.
14.5. 15.4, sorry. So that's 20.5. So instead, if you get Salah, he's 12 and a half. So you can get another 8 million guy. So you actually can't get Trent. So my counter to a lot of people doing this is, what is your benefit of going Salah instead of Haaland? Where are you spending that saving of 1.5 million?
New manager
And
bounce.
2.5 million. 2.5 million.
Two,
Pras.
no, not 2.5.
Yeah,
12.5 versus 14.
No, 15.4.
Is he
Haaland is 15.
15.4?
Started at 15 and now he's 15.4.
So 3 million. So where are you spending that 3 million? You can go Rodgers. Instead of Rodgers, you can get an 8 million defender like Jackson. You can get Isak, or you get a cheaper striker and you upgrade your defender to a Trent. I don't think these are that huge upgrades. Trent is, but I don't think a Jackson versus any other cheap defender is, or Rodgers is such a big upgrade that you have to sacrifice Haaland for Salah. That's my general view, but man, I'm not like totally sold on whether to do it or not. Not myself, but people's views. Like people doing it, I'm like, go for it if you want to do it. I don't think it's wrong.
LR, what do you think? Is this a sort feels like, does this feel like an upside chasing move?
No, I think the upside is with Haaland. I don't want to sit on the fence with my opinion. I am a big fan of the Brighton and the Spurs fixtures for Haaland, and that's what my opinion is. I just genuinely think they're great Haaland games, and I see him scoring 3 goals between those 2 games.
I agree with you then. Also, I was listening to Above Average pod before coming on, and they spoke to John McKenzie, the guys you guys know who does the T4 football, all the stat stuff. He says in the past, Guardiola, the word he used was eviscerated Iraola. Said the team, they work very well against each other, the way the style they play. And I can understand that, right? You see the teams that they've played next are Bournemouth, Brighton, Tottenham, Liverpool, obviously not so much. All these 3 teams are going to come to play football. I like these matchups a lot more for Haaland, and obviously not Southampton, than the previous opponents he had.
4-1 and 6-1 were the reverse results for Bournemouth versus City last year. City scoring 4 and 6. So, that's there. And there was a 1-0 game away. So with Bournemouth, the trend this season, I actually think that Salah is definitely a better captaincy option this week because I genuinely think the Brighton fixture is great. But Bournemouth was a tight game, but they conceded a lot of sitters to Haaland who missed them. It was a 1-0 win or something of that sort, and there was a lot of chances that City missed in that game. So in all the 3 previous instances, Haaland has had more than his fair share of chances. So how I'll put this is, you better be upgrading something else which is a whole lot better than just getting Salah in place for it to be worth it. Since Pras mentioned the pros and cons and the to and fro's, etc. as well. So, that's what my opinion is. How do you feel, Pras? Are you inclined towards selling Haaland at the moment or holding him?
Maybe Zoph, go first. Maybe you get your views as well.
No, I think my view process that I have currently, I think a lot of people have just one free transfer. I don't see necessarily the benefiting as for a hit. I think can hold on to Haaland just fine. I'm not comfortable with the hit yet.
See, my view to LR's question is, I'm not seeing the benefit. Like I'm seeing, okay, captaincy benefit this week, but after this week, I don't see a benefit. I don't see 1 week here afterwards where I say, I must have Salah over Haaland. Let's just keep it to these 2. The other 3 million we'll talk about separately. Let's just keep it to this week. Like, yeah, ideally Salah this week is slightly better captaincy. But again, if you look at predicted points, only marginally, like 0.3. So yes, you can look at matchups and say Brighton at home can be anything. We've seen what Palmer did. But then Brighton also, like Isak couldn't do anything against them. So it's not like, they are a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde kind of team. So how they show up, how they sort of set up, maybe they've learned a little bit. So I feel Bournemouth away, Brighton home, Salah is better, but not hugely better. Then you get to next week. I don't think Salah is better than Haaland next week. I think it's very similar. So Aston Villa is a good team. And then when you look at Salah, right? Every game, and this is not only for this season, every game you watch, even the Arsenal one, the guy is not involved. Like, I'm like, is he playing? He's making some key passes, but other than that, you don't see him shooting. You watch Haaland play, every game you come out saying this was not enough. He should have done more. And yes, I get that he can keep a clean sheet. Goals are more points for Salah. I'm not sure it's that obvious because you're also taking two moves. Like when I look at my team right now, like Solanke is not doing anything. DCL is not doing anything. My defenders, Gabriel could be injured. Right now, I should be taking two transfers to take out Haaland, where my team could be like looking absolutely rubbish next week with, DCL not doing anything again. Gabriel could be injured. So I'm like, why should I do it? Let me keep my transfers. And anyway, my path that I'm looking at by reaching Game Week 12 is to have Haaland, Palmer, Saka, Trent, double Arsenal defense. That's basically the core of my team. And not a lot of teams can get there because of not my team value. So my team value is generally good. So if I can get to Trent, double Arsenal defense, and I can have a premium of Salah, Palmer, and Haaland, I think it's all right. Like, I don't think that then I'm missing so much. That's what my thinking is right now.
I don't think you can
I
get
like
there even with your
I
team
like you
values,
mentioned.
Pras.
I
Sorry,
can.
Pras. I was getting to
I
like.
can. I'll have to have two 5.5 strikers. But other than that, I don't
okay.
need to change anything.
Okay, so you already done that.
I like what you
done it.
mentioned.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
I like what you mentioned as a path because I'm on track for that path, and it's exactly what I envision my team in 3 weeks to be as well. So I'm liking that you're thinking in a similar vein.
Yeah, that sounds crazy because you're talking double Arsenal defense. That's like 6'5.5". There's Trent. There's Salah, not Saka. Palmer.
No, not
and
Salah. I
No,
didn't say Salah.
Saka.
Saka,
you said
Palmer,
Salah,
and
I
Haaland.
think.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry. Then
No,
that's mistake.
no, he said Saka.
Okay, then maybe okay. That's where my
Yeah.
mind was boggled completely. I think with Saka, I
Salah,
can
Palmer,
understand it.
and Haaland has to be a very temporary. Like if you do it, it has to be a very temporary sort of switch transition where that's not sustained. Those are three most expensive players in the game.
Got it. Right, and
Probably going to be in my team this week.
I know, but that will be a transition, right? I'm sure like in
Yeah.
3 weeks that will change.
so
It will.
Salah's numbers over here, just since you pointed them out, plus 1.85 NPXG last 5 games, but just a very high number of shots on target, a very high number of big chance conversions. I think he's got 2 penalties, right? Because his overall XGI, if you look at it, is 4, but just 1.85 NPXG, and XA is not much. So numbers have actually dipped for Salah. The output is just consistent.
That's what I mean, man. I mean, it's not an easy decision. We sit here every week talking about big hitters, and then one week, Foden does nothing at home to Southampton, and Saka scores against Liverpool, and Salah scores against Arsenal. Like this, it's very hard to have a crystal ball like, with these big hitters. So, I'm not there. I'm not there yet. Let's say Haaland plays 90 minutes against Spurs again, and my view of his minutes of going forward changes. Maybe he gets a couple of subs, then that will change. If he completely misses, then I'm happy, right? I mean, I'm happy to hold him. So, think.
Yeah. Pep did mention, by the way, that he's going to play he mentioned it again. He reinforced the point that he made earlier that he's going to play the second string team. He's going to play the youngsters in this game as well. So it looks like a week where the likes of Foden, Haaland are actually going to get a full week's rest as well. I think he's going to use this week to do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, Ella, you're planning to bring in Salah. That will be alongside Haaland, correct? You're basically going without Saka.
Yeah, it's a transition, right? Because Saka's fixtures for the next 2 are Newcastle, Chelsea away. Actually, I'll talk to you about my moves because there's a lot more paths that I can pick from. But yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. And I also it involves selling Kai. And the Liverpool game told me that at the moment, Saka looks like he's just on a separate level. So I don't mind clearing up the pathway for Saka in the future as well if I'm selling Kai.
Cool. Anything else to talk
Yeah,
about?
the other thing about this transition, because it's worth spending more time on this double
We go to
move
the fixture.
everybody is doing. How comfortable are we saying, okay, we're going down this path of cheap strikers are doing well, right? Cheap strikers can become rubbish. Like, cheap strikers are cheap strikers for a reason. Like Wolves could lose 3 games in a row, and even in easy fixtures, and you're not like shocked. So going to a structure where you have Acuna, you have a DCL, and you have a Chris Wood, I just feel like like even if they're doing well now, not DCL of course, it's not like you might need to sort out those problems later as well. We can't just rely that okay, we've seen last 3 weeks that cheap strikers are doing well, so cheap strikers will forever do well. Like Watkins could come back, Jackson could come back, Darwin Nunes, if Jota is out, we should talk about Darwin Nunes. Like he is, we have seen Slot not play Gakpo or Diaz up top. He's there. Hoyland, new manager bounce. He's there, 6.9. Like there's so many good strikers that if you commit to a structure which is three cheap strikers, it's not that great.
Right, but you don't have to with this move, right? You can still get to like a 7-ish, 7.5-ish striker if you move
My
Haaland
assumption
in the
is
midfield.
you need Trent like by 12. That's my basic assumption. So if you're taking that money out, it should be funding Trent. If it's not funding Trent, then for me, Trent will outscore any striker, any cheap striker.
I think what's maybe validating their faith in the cheap strikers, like you mentioned, Pras, and it's not a place where we want to spend our transfers. Maybe the only slight cushioning to this is there are a lot of them. So, like, replacement value isn't as rubbish as it used to be because we're now talking about a pool of, because two good cheap strikers got added to the pool this week. So now we're talking about Bissa, who's actually a very good option. We've got Jimenez, who's a very good option. Now, these two are actually not cheap striker value. They're playing strikers, and I looked at their XG value. Fulham and Brentford are sitting fifth and sixth in the XG table amongst everybody in the last 6 game weeks. So we're talking about good middling teams and the center focal point of these teams who have a good run of fixtures anyway. So that's the two. And then
Very
you've got
short term though. Both Fulham
short term.
and Brentford are short term good fixtures.
Yeah. So like 5 or 6 games, and even otherwise, like because you're having your 7th, 8th attackers who are very decent, there's some sort of rotation. We're living in an ecosystem where we all have a decent 4th defender, we have a decent 8th attacker, most of us, not me, and we have a decent 3rd striker. So like there's some sort of rotation. I'm just saying that, and then when you combine that with Strand Larson, Cunha, the Brighton guys who might be fit at that by the time we're looking at Brighton strikers, the slight cushioning for that is there is a replacement value. So you don't feel cornered every time you're making a move. That's all.
Yeah, fair.
Let's just have some look at the projections, Pras. I think they'll also help back up what the models are saying, right, in terms of goals. Now, we see now 10 and 11, Liverpool are projected to score more goals than Man City. But my counterpoint to this argument, right, you look at Forest, who are in 19th. They're not scoring many goals, but when you have a guy that's scoring a large majority of their goals, it doesn't matter, right? And that's where I see this Haaland thing now. City 2.01, I expect 1.5 to be Haaland.
Agreed. I mean, there is no doubt that in terms of goal share, Haaland has a bigger goal share of Man City than Salah has for Liverpool. Would you agree with that?
100%.
I don't think
Like
anyone can
Liverpool
disagree.
have Darwin and Diaz, no? So this is why their
That's
expected
why
points are similar.
that's why I didn't hold back with my opinion. Like I understand Salah's looking like a great proposition for the next 3, and you want that, but see if you want to find another way because my presumption and my opinion is Haaland's better.
I think all three, as a general pod opinion, we are that keep Haaland. Unless I
Yeah.
guess if you have a very stable team, you don't have other fires to put out, you have few transfers, you can move about. Probably that would be the caveat.
I think if you have Son already, like if you're one of those teams that held Son last week, then I think it's easier case to say sell Haaland because you have then the best captain this week and you have by far the best captain next week as well. So, for people who are going with Saka, I mean,
Can I interject? I don't think Son is a better captaincy option than Haaland next week. I think
home to
Haaland's
Ipswich, man.
no. I think Haaland's a better captaincy option against Brighton.
Away game though. Okay, fair enough. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I'll give you a model view. There's like
Yeah.
quite a bit of distance in terms of expected points, but I get it. Like that was
Yeah.
the same for Palmer when he was playing Brighton. So so basically that's one caveat. Like people with teams like me and Zoph who have Saka instead of Son, there is not, Saka's fixtures over the next 2 are not ideal. So therefore, you want a stable captain. You could theoretically also captain Salah as well in Game Week 11. But I think for me, then Haaland is the second best captain in Game Week 11 or top according to LR. We don't need to do the move. So that's where I am right now. Like I'm ready to people are doing it for a Wolves striker or Raul Jimenez. I can do DCL to a Raul Jimenez or a Wolves striker next week. So I'm not seeing that one pick. Let's say if Jackson was a must own from game week 12, and we should have a strikers chat as well later. If there was a must own striker, I would say, okay, do it, because you're not just getting Salah, you're getting this other striker that nobody else can get by selling Haaland. I'm not seeing that second part of the equation.
Because all the guys are affordable, right? You can pretty much move
Exactly.
a Solanke down to anyone. You're not somebody like in the Watkins bracket, the 8ish bracket was appealing, then that move makes more sense. So I
That's
get
exactly what I mean.
Also, one thing like in this entire equation is now KDB's been training with the first team for 8-10 days now. Like, I genuinely think maybe by the time Brighton comes around, we might have a fit Kev supplying Haaland. And that takes his perception even higher in my head. So I just wanted to add that little bit of layered opinion.
Yeah.
Move
It's
on
tough,
from
man. The FPL this year is tough. Every
Fun.
week we talk about big hitters. I mean, fun,
Yeah, I know.
tough. Yeah, of course. Last year it was we all had the same big hitters. We were talking about basement, which is the 4.5 defender to get. So I agree. This is more fun, but it's also not great for the heart. Like every week, like you're up against at least 3 big hitters which you don't own, and it's like you just can't help it. They score points.
Yeah, the Salah goal was a massive rank drop yesterday. I think almost
He was
400, 500
50-60% owned.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
So that I just want to address this because a lot of people are looking at their 2 million plus ranks and are feeling disbandled about the entire situation. Like, I would say that if you're looking at the content creators league, most of us are beyond the 2 million rank, and I've seen so many examples where people have jumped 3 million ranks in 2, 3, 4 game weeks. It needs you to hit the bullseye 2, 3 weeks in a row, and you'll be there. Like, I'm fairly comfortable sitting at what 2.8 million at the moment. Like, there's zero panic. I'm like,
That rank wise, there should be no panic at all.
yeah. Yeah, I just want to mention that because there's a lot of our listeners who are, I got a few tweets when I posted my team and my rank. I got a few tweets saying that I'm almost on the verge of giving up, etc., etc. I'm like, man, this such a fun season. There's so much, like Pras mentioned, it's such challenging situation, and there is scope to make gains. There's scope to play differently. It's a fun season. I'd much rather play this than like template central.
The scope play differently is definitely a very accurate statement.
Yeah.
I mean, look at it now, right? A lot of people, no matter what we say on this spot, a lot of people will be selling Haaland this week. Like Haaland should be and by the way, we said it 3 weeks ago. You remember? Haaland's EO is going to start coming down from game week 10, and it's going to come down by game week 12. It will come further down. So there is your opportunity. He scores a hat trick, and you have captained him against Brighton. You climb. Basically you get 100% of the share if his EO is only 100% in game week 11. So there is opportunity. And this is the other thing, by the way, there's a game theory element to this. Like I feel because he scored 6 points, like 1 goal in the last 4 games, a lot of people who've overtaken us are people who don't have Haaland naturally, right? So there is a little bit of a game theory element that now if you give up and now you sell Haaland for Salah, when you're not totally convinced that that's the move, yes, you can gain, but you will gain with them. But if Haaland then outscores Salah, which I think is totally possible, and you have captained Haaland in those weeks, you will gain back those points and you will climb those ranks which you've given up in the last few weeks. So there's that little bit of, because we are playing against other people, it's not just about absolute points.
And you losing out points this week is just variance, nothing else.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that could be the next 3 weeks. You could have either one outscore the other by like 20, 30 points, and it's just variance, similar to what happened in the triple captaincy this week, right?
Yeah. And that brings me back to still just saying fixtures are king. Genuinely, in our perception, like remember 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, we spoke about how maybe a layered approach rather than just looking at greens and blues on the fixture ticker might just be the edge. So I do feel like if you find fixtures where you're seeing hat-trick potential or triple or quadruple return potential and running behind that has the highest potential for points gained this season. Like I think getting your big hitters right is stellar.
Right players, right time. That's the thing.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of, like, is captaincy like the thing I talked about when we roll forward? Does that matter? Like, who is your like? How many times will you captain Haaland, LR?
In the next 3?
All the ones we see here. So Brighton, you want to captain him?
8.
Yeah. Will you captain him Spurs? Spurs home instead of Palmer, Leicester away? Just gut instinct.
Gut instinct, probably.
over Palmer, Leicester away.
Like,
Liverpool away, we won't captain him. I think we're clear. Forest home versus Palmer, Southampton away. I think we'll captain Palmer.
I think we'll captain Palmer.
So basically, what we're saying is next 5 game weeks, we're captaining Haaland once, which is Brighton away, and Spurs home, in which Palmer is Leicester away. So it's not 100%. So I'm basically saying there is the other side of it as well, that they're
Yeah,
easily good alternatives.
I understand that, but I feel like, let me phrase this. You're more cornered if you get this wrong without Haaland, because I have the perception of how good Brighton and Spurs are as fixtures for Erling Haaland. I don't share the same confidence about perception of fixture for Son versus Ipswich, for example, or Saka versus Forest, for example. Palmer versus Leicester, yes. I think Palmer is the one that's closest, especially. I don't even have the confidence that I have for Mo Salah that I have for Cole Palmer in easier fixtures given today, and just how Chelsea are playing and what his role is at the moment. He's whatever you do, Palmer's at the center of everything Chelsea do. He's much more talismanic for Chelsea than I believe Salah is for Liverpool at the moment. So that's the thing. So, and I feel like it's such a moving needle. Like, if you really get down to it, me wanting to captain Haaland in Game Week 12 over Palmer probably depends on them having 2 players fit and Pep finding a good system. Like, I feel like it's a lot more nuanced than deciding it today. And I feel like I'm happy to at least have 100% effective ownership because I think he's good for points irrespective.
Yeah,
And
this is where I am.
yeah,
Because one other thing about the cartel leader is the cartel leader is not only saying go Salah this week, they are then selling Salah for Palmer game week 12. So it
Yeah.
actually makes sense for teams that are not on premiums. So a lot of teams like Zoph and my team are on premiums. Basically, we have Palmer already and we have Saka already. So we would add Salah to that team. Then Salah is actually, if you look at Salah after the next 3 weeks, right? Yeah, he's not needed. Like after he's played Southampton, he plays Man City, he plays Newcastle away, he plays Everton. At that point, you can actually argue that Salah is not that great anyway. Same argument that people are having about Haaland today, you could have over Salah and basically moving him to a Son or somebody else. So what I'm trying to say is it's not like people are going Haaland to Salah and then staying and having Salah for the rest of their season. It's a question of they're trying to move around because they have Bruno Fernandes in their team. So they can't have 3 premiums. And a lot of team structures that have no other midfielder between Saka down or Foden down between that and maybe a Semenyo or a 6 million mid, they have space to get 3 big hitters. So why not keep 3 big hitters?
By the way, just sympathies with Bruno Fernandes owners. He should have had a minimum 2 returns against West Ham, by the way. Like, he was in and amongst the chances massively in that West Ham game. Like, he could have had a couple of returns. There's a conversation there for United assets and the new manager bounce. Like, for those of you, let's dive into that since you mentioned United. Like, I would just want to say, see the Chelsea game, see who Root prefers before you buy your United assets in 11 for Leicester at home. Like, is he playing Bruno central? Is he playing Bruno number 10? Like, we need to see one game of how Root plans to use this team before diving into players. That's the only thing.
I was reading he might do Zirkzee plus Højlund. So
exactly.
That will not be good for Bruno.
No. So, like, I just feel like take a week to see and then jump in if you want to jump on the new manager bounce. Zoph, do you believe in new manager bounce?
Absolutely. And it applies more so, I think, to clubs. I think we don't know. A lot of times it's just like sacking a manager leads to a bounce, right? Because when you guys got Solskjaer, it was just because he's not Jose, you get the bounce. So from what I could tell from Ten Hag, you will get that bounce. But ultimately, I don't think you guys have been playing bad. That's what maybe the confidence will come in terms of finishing. Because again, West Ham, you guys deserve to be 3 goals clear in the first half. What might happen is now suddenly the ball will start going into the net. And that can happen. It's just a mentality thing, a confidence thing. Something just needs to click in that sense. You guys have not played bad in the last few games. That's
too long of inconsistent performances. Some weeks, it's great. Some week defensively, it's also great. But it's not like, you guys get Maresca and you're playing like a top 4 team. I just don't understand how Chelsea keep doing it, man. They keep buying whoever is available, whichever manager they get. They come after 6 months, they look like a top 4 or a title contender team. Like, we keep getting managers and like they suck for a year. We keep sticking out. Anyway, you're going back to Man United conversation. But
it helps to have the best player of the league.
I mean, now. But yeah, they've been doing it since like Conte days. Just get him, win the league.
But they've
But that
always
was
had
different. We were
this.
getting managers and players who are much more finished articles. Right now, what's happening, I think, is the first time Chelsea have looked good in the post-Roman era, rather, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they've
fair.
always had they've recruited well. They've had their share of misses, but whatever hits they've had, they've been extreme hits. Like even you genuinely like look at and I think that sort of marquee player makes a difference. Like Liverpool have Salah, Chelsea have Palmer, City have Haaland. We don't have Spurs as Son. We don't have a player. It was supposed to be Bruno Fernandes, but I don't think he's quite up to the level of these marquee attackers who are going to get you 20 plus attacking returns a season. Like we made a bet on Rashford being that guy 3 years ago, but now let's face it, he's just not that guy. Like I feel like having a marquee attacker makes that much of a difference, and these teams have it. So I think you need that sort of magic player in your team as well.
Just going back to the Salah discussion, the chat is giving us a bit of flack for ignoring Salah as an FPL option. They say that we keep underrating him, his goal and boundary side, etc., etc. I don't think any of us are saying that Salah is a bad option. I think if you were to rank premiums, he would still be the second best premium for me, above Saka
Easily.
and Palmer. I think with
And
money
LR
even
is
no
bringing
bar.
him in, man. LR is bringing him in. So, and I haven't ruled it out. I'm just giving pros and cons. So, no chance. We're just trying to give the perspective as owners of Haaland. And Salah is great.
Yeah, the conversation where and listen, when people are preset on a move and you're telling them to not that make that move, this reaction is bound to happen. But the conversation that three of us are having is exactly a Haaland versus Salah conversation. We are not having a conversation about saying Salah is not worth it. Salah probably on fixtures and what you're seeing the next three game weeks after Haaland is the best premium to have. I don't think he's the second best premium in the game, though, Zoph. I think it's
And the,
Palmer
the fixture
comfortably.
wise, I'm just saying the fixture wise, the
Yeah,
Palmer thing
yeah,
is debatable, but I'm saying money no bar. I think Salah has
yeah.
the highest ceiling over the next 2-3 game weeks after Haaland.
Agreed. Agreed. So why not go for Haaland and Salah? Like my suggestion to FPL managers wanting Salah is just see if you have another path and that involves not selling Haaland.
So then it comes down to Saka. Like for Pras and I, that's another thing. Now I'm looking at it. I looked at Salah possibly bringing him in game week 11 or game week 12, but by then I think Saka is with around like 2.5 million saved is just better than.
Saka is not
Yeah,
negotiable.
I do think there's a play there though, because the Nottingham at home game might seem like a great game, but it's Forest, man. They've been defensively good. Then it comes down to your perception about the Newcastle and Chelsea games away, and we saw it this week as well. The Chelsea defense is there for the taking. Like Chelsea will always offer you chances. Like whatever you do, whether you finish them or not, they will score goals, but they will concede goals as well.
The number of expletives I shouted at Bob Sanchez that game, my God.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool. I think that sums up the premium
The
discussion.
premiums and
Anything?
mids. Yeah, that's it. I think let's move on to the defenders, the Gabriel discussion. So what is the news from Gabriel? From what I've read today, that he's going in for a scan. We don't know the extent of the injury. He was substituted off, but the speculation is, and this is obviously speculation, it shouldn't be longer till then the next international break, Pras.
That's what we're hearing, man. But I mean, it's so annoying, honestly. Like the worst club to have injuries, like the two worst clubs to have injuries, and for that to matter to you is Newcastle and Arsenal. And bloody every single week there's an Arsenal injury, man. And then we're like on the hooks. And so yeah, that what we've heard so far is that it's not terrible, but then people have been completely wrong about this stuff. So we'll just have to wait and see. Like there's enough interest here, and there's enough important games coming up, like Chelsea, Newcastle, for all the things we say. Those are very, very important for Arsenal. They've again dropped points this weekend. That if he's fit, he'll play. So if it means that you hold on a week, if you don't hear any news and you bench him or you potentially start him, like a defender is a kind of player that if he's not fit, he won't start or he won't come on even. So I feel like it's an easy hold unless you hear something major is wrong. And in that case, we should hear.
And I think most of us do have a fourth defender right now. And the good thing is, I think Lewis playing consistently has sort of saved us with the Walker injury, because we always had a bit of a backup in that fourth spot in case Lewis missed out. Like, for example, we have Mikalenko and Nouri, I think, who can cover for the next couple of game weeks till we have some clarity. And if not Arsenal, at least the Brazilian media around the international break should give us some clarity, because he's a regular starter now for Brazil. So I think the next two, like you said, they were not great clean sheet fixtures anyway. And the run from 12 is great. I'd like to hold him if possible. LR, you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I'd much rather if he was injured, he'd be injured now before Newcastle away and Chelsea away than in Game Week 12. So at the moment, unless your defense is on the tenterhooks and you don't have a playing defender, I'd hold him.
But if he is out longer term, I think that money can be used. So that is also the
100%.
other side of it.
Yep, we
Like
have to discuss
there's
that because we'll get the news, I think, if any, by only Thursday, Friday. So, what do we do if he, let's say, he's out for like 3 to 4 weeks? In which case, I think he's a sell.
yeah, yeah. Like I might go straight to Trent, like back to Trent. Or you can use that money and make your defense even cheaper. I personally have worries about that because long term, I don't think if defense all 5 defenders under 5 million is sustainable. But I think you can do something with the money and be proactive rather than just being reactive.
If you're
Because
going
you have
lower
0.2.
plus, where do you go in terms of the fixtures and the teams? We have decent idea of who the good defenses are.
It's all rotation, yeah. I mean, it's difficult to say.
To find a
If you look
perma
at
play, I was struggling earlier as well. I looked at it. I think maybe Tottenham is what you look at, but Porto isn't doing the business. Liverpool, you could go back to, but they're all, I think, more expensive than Gabriel or just about the same price in like your Van Dijk and stuff. Villa's fixtures toughen up now. The next 3 away games are a bit difficult. Similar with Forest, they have, I think, a couple of good home games. Then the run toughens up a little bit. I couldn't really find any defense I want to say with certainty that I want
you
to
guys
invest in.
don't like Chelsea defense. I like Chelsea. I like Colwill.
If you watched the game yesterday, did you watch? You didn't watch the game yesterday, did you?
No, I did.
You did?
I
thought
did.
we were so bad the last 30 minutes, completely shut up. And what I think Isak had 3 big, Newcastle had 4 big chances, we had 1. I'm not
So I
impressed.
think
That's
what you
fair.
need to do is like see what your defense is, and especially if you have an Everton defender, right? Like Everton's defense, Everton's fixtures get really rough by the time Game Week 15 comes around. So you need to find a defender for a team which has good fixtures by the time this comes around, because that might give the opportunity for you to shift your Everton defender to Gabriel or whoever you want to in that higher price bracket also. So you need somebody who's got decent middling fixtures right now. But Game Week 16 onwards, Everton's fixtures read Liverpool home, Arsenal away, Chelsea, City, back to back to back to back. So you need to find a defender that has good fixtures then, and then you dovetail your Everton defender into the expensive defender.
Konsa is going to be 4.4 soon. That's your man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been recommending a man since about 10 days. He's still my recommendation if you're going 5 million or under, Matthias de Ligt.
You manage a bounce as well.
He's got underrated set piece threat.
Yeah,
Genuinely
he is.
underrated set. He's really good in the box. We've become a little better at set pieces. I think the fixtures are too good for us to not clock a few cleans. That's my recommendation.
By the way, after this week, there is another team that has actually good fixtures for the long term. Newcastle. So I know we've
Yes.
forgotten about their defenders, but
And their attackers.
yeah. So Dan Burn,
Livramento,
Livramento.
Hall.
So these are Hall
But
keeps rotating.
But just look
Even
at the fixtures, Pras. Sorry to interrupt you. This Forest away, I don't think that's a fantastic clean sheet fixture. West Ham is all right. Palace is away. Liverpool is at home. Brentford is away. I don't see more than 1 clean sheet here.
This is true. We're looking at this is why I'm saying structurally having 5 defenders under 5 million is asking for trouble, because at any point these guys can become 2 of them can become absolute duds. So we're obviously basement purchasing, right? All I'm saying
And
is these are
there's-
decent enough. If you had to play him any week, you wouldn't maybe start him any week.
There's one more shout. Konate. Genuine pick in my opinion now. He's not been rotated for a while. Liverpool are an Arsenal level defense that we are
Yeah.
sure of. We've seen them in
Right.
2 big games now. He's not been rotated. Why not just go for what's the worst that will happen with Konate is I feel like you'll maybe miss out on 1 game because it's been a fixture congestion, etc. But you will get 5 or 6 out of the next 7 games, and I feel like he's top 2 defense in the league at the moment. So I think
That's
you
a
can go
great shot.
Konate as well.
That's a great shot. But personally, like if Gabriel is out long term, I'm going Solanke to Cunha and Gabriel to Trent.
What about
Every
Guardiola?
game you watch Trent, man. Nah, I think the City defense time is gone. Like look at their fixtures now: Bournemouth away, Brighton away, Spurs, Liverpool. All of them will score. Like of course it's Man City. Man City keep clean sheets against Real Madrid sometimes. So you know you just never know. It's a good defense.
Ipswich.
Or concede against Wolves and Ipswich. So what I'm trying to say is, yeah, Man City defense is never bad, but I think there was the time where you wanted them, and like I had Edison for this period, I'll be moving Edison to Raya very soon. So I don't think I can't sort of recommend going double defense now at this point.
Yep, it's quite bad in the landscape, and I think you do play it cheap for now. I think if he is out, or you go to your Trent. Even Trent, like for example, plus I have 1 million in the bank right now. If Gabriel is out, would you suggest even going for Trent? It's the
I'll be
fixtures.
going for 2 moves. Like if I had 1 million like you, I would go straight away, no doubt. He's the best defender in the game. Like we're struggling to find one defender over like at that price. Look at what Poro is doing. People have spent 5.5 million on him. The guy does nothing all game. So
It's a shame
Trent
that
is
Leaf
clear.
Davis, we're not getting any consistent clean sheets or output from him. He did get his assist, but look at the fixtures. Just disappointing that Ipswich haven't performed.
That's also because I mean you've got two starting defenders injured as well, right? So
Yeah.
I think that does come into a play into a team that's settling into a new league, and once they're getting settled into the league, you lose half your starting defense. I think that matters. So I will give that benefit of doubt to Ipswich as well.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
So Shant is saying Guardiola is a good hold. Yeah, of course. We are talking about buying here. Like, of course,
Yeah.
if you have Guardiola, if you have anyone, you can hold your defenders.
Yeah. I was just looking at look at the fixtures, right? In terms of clean sheet potential for Dillit. Like, okay, you got a tough fixture against Chelsea at home this week. But after that, the clean sheet fixtures are really strong on clean sheets. So, like you got Leicester at home, you got Ipswich away, you got Everton at home, then you got a tough tie against Arsenal. So you bench him very clearly in that game. Then you got Forest at home. Then you got a tough tie against City. Then you got Bournemouth at home, Wolves away. So like the greens are proper greens. They're not sort of these middling fixtures as well. So I do think it's a decent shot along with Konate.
I'd actually agree with you. I was just looking at the fixtures more closely, and I think they actually have the best fixtures. They're middle here on the ticker,
Yeah.
but in terms of clean sheet, I think especially if you move the Chelsea one out of the way, it's probably
Yeah.
the best one. And Chelsea are not that great at defending set pieces also. You have to keep
Which
that
one
in
was that?
mind.
Sorry, which team I talk about?
Manchester United.
Dillit.
Oh, yeah.
Acha,
Okay.
okay.
I mean, with Man United, okay, fine. Yeah, you can.
The home games are all right, Pras. The next 3 out of the next
They're
6.
benchable, but you're not getting a 5 million defender to bench so many weeks, right?
You can get Mazraoui.
Maybe.
Yeah, has been decent. I just want to see, like, I am ready to jump on United for that pre-fixture run. I just want to see how Root sets up.
We'll get the League Cup now. Are we in
Yeah.
the League Cup? This is how much I'm engaged with Man United, right?
I think so.
So we'll get the
Yeah.
midweek game.
Yeah, but like that's I don't know if how much of a first try. Or maybe he uses that as a training
will,
session
yeah.
before the yeah. All right. Fair
Few
shot.
people
Fair
in the
shot.
chat asking about Reece James. Now he's been playing at right centre back for Chelsea, which has severely diminished his attacking output. And for defense, it's not great. I don't think I would go there because I'm still not there in terms of his fitness. He's not somebody you want to carry into a busy period on the other side of the international break. If he had a similar upside as earlier, maybe, but I can't recommend him right now.
Exactly what I wanted. I'm so glad you brought up Reece James because we live, even if Reece James is fit, okay, and is playing 90 minutes or whatever, we live with the perception that Reece James is that marauding wingback that he was under Thomas Tuchel, where he used to get cross after cross and he was really attacking. That's just not his role at the moment under Chelsea. And unless we see that role, he's not a pick at the moment. Like he needs to be attacking in one game at least before you jump in there. That's all.
And it's not going to be, I don't think he's going to give him that role because he's afraid of him getting injured. This is the place where he has the least likelihood at centre back.
And also, like, think about it from a Chelsea's tactical point of view, right? You guys are playing 2 DMs, 4 defenders, and you're probably the only team that's not playing 4-3-3. So there's not much balance. If you have 3 center midfielders, then you have attacking license given to the wing backs. But the fact of the reason that you guys are playing 2 double pivots and you're having to accommodate a Cole Palmer, which is what you should absolutely do, the wingbacks do need to hold back their width compared because nobody else is playing with 4 full-on attackers like Chelsea are. So that sort of comes into play as well.
No, our wingbacks don't naturally get forward. One wingback goes into midfield, the other wingback becomes a centre back. That's how the system is. So that the width comes from the wingers.
Exactly.
So it's completely different over there. I think let's wrap up the defender chat. Move to forwards.
If you didn't have Ran, would you go to Ran? Ait Nouri?
He's on 4 yellow cards, is something we should mention, and the amnesty is long away to game week 19. So it is very likely that you are going to miss 1 game from Nouri now in the next 4. So something also we should mention that O'Neill said that after the game, the second half, they were much more effective and he should have started with the back 4. So we're not going to see Nouri wing back either. As a pick, yes, I do like him, but I think pretty much have to accept he's going to miss 1 game over the next 4.
Yeah.
So I think this aspect of people on 4 yellows and also ties into Reece James. Game week 14 and game week 18 are midweek game weeks. So the time to get rotation risks is out. Like you have to go for more solid picks, especially in defense, because we don't want we want these players to play, right? And one injury like with Greaves and suddenly it looks threadbare. Like even Rico Lewis is starting to become iffy once midweek game starts. So yeah, I'd be careful.
Yeah, you need to start getting in nailed players now, I think.
Konza type players.
Move on now to the
All right.
forwards.
Yeah, big debate. Like big conversation to have. Should we just do like 6.5 million and below as one segment, and then we talk about the other strikers? Because there's a lot of people looking at that price bracket, and there's a few contenders in question. So I've been looking at and looking for shopping in this striker bracket. Who are you guys liking at the moment?
We're talking first about sub 6.
Suck 6.5.
So including Cunha.
Cunha, I would put Wood in the bracket as well.
Right. I want to do sub 6 first, because I think above 6 is slightly bit like better quality. I think, but sub 6 this season now, the variety is really good. I think Wissa has to go right to the top for me. But I think the fixtures for Brentford are so good. They're creating crazy amount of XG, and their defense has become suddenly completely shambolic. They're having to score loads of goals in the last 2 home games. I think they've racked up close to 7 XG, and he's just at the center of everything. He got 3 big chances last game, and compare his numbers to Bumo. Bumo is nowhere near in terms of underlines as Wissa. I think if you can afford Wissa, I think those of us stuck with DCL, I think we're all planning to give him one more week, but I'd want to make the move to Wissa as soon as possible. And I think who are the other guys below 6? I think you have Strand Larson and Jimenez, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Jimenez, I'm still not there yet, man. I think right now, again, like we just spoke about the Christmas period coming, I think he'll start to lose minutes on the other side of that. Do you agree, Pras?
Right? How many early subs is he getting? Like I'm not seeing
None.
This rotation's threat. He played 90 minutes against Everton, 90 minutes against Aston Villa. I'm not seeing that threat.
I'd like to paraphrase a quote that happened post-match in the previous game, because Jimenez came after the international break. He was a late arrival. Remember, he plays for Mexico and he played for Mexico. And Marco Silva said that, yes, he looked tired at the moment, but something to the tune of he's so important at the moment. And even in the last 20, he gave it all. Like, you just couldn't take him off. Like he said that. And I think that says a lot about Jimenez than it doesn't, in my opinion. So that's the answer to your question, Ross.
For me, he's the best. Like, of course, if there's no brighter striker in conversation, and there's no brighter striker conversation needed to be had right now until game week 12. So, I mean, his last 5 games I'm looking at, XGI 0.71, 0.74, 1.24, 0.94, 0.5. That's incredible.
So, and amongst the 3 of them, the only one potentially on pens.
Exactly. That was going to be my next point. That the only one, him and João Pedro under 6 million, the only 2, and of course DCL, who are on pens under 6 million.
Good, I like it. This is the confirmation bias. So I've been looking, like I might need to move tonight, and because both Jimenez and Salah might rise. So I've been shopping, and I can buy anyone 6.5 or below if I'm planning to make the moves I do. And the first 2 names that came to my mind were Wissa and Jimenez. Now, if you can go, do we have a fixture tickers off that we can go to? Like, I actually wanted to talk to you guys about the fixtures more closely. Like, when I saw the Wolves fixtures and when I'm looking at Strand Larson, they don't seem like multiple return fixtures compared to the fixtures for Fulham and Brentford. Like, Wolves have Palace at home. Palace look decent, by the way, against Spurs, and they have looked like they're going to sort their shit out. Southampton also isn't a team that's going to concede too many chances, in my opinion. Then you got Fulham away.
They will. Let's count this one as well.
Okay,
like we can't use Southampton as if they won't.
Okay. Then you got Fulham away, Bournemouth home, Everton away. Like, I don't think they are easy fixtures for Wolves. And I don't think Wolves is... I don't know. I'm not sure if Wolves is as good an attack as the Brentford attack or the Fulham attack is. And I wanted to validate that if this was just in my head and I just looked at the XG numbers, like these 2 teams are sitting 5th and 6th for XG. They're not even sitting like 10th or 11th. They're sitting higher middle table. And then I looked at Fulham's fixtures and I genuinely think they're really good fixtures. Like Brentford at home, we saw that the Wolves defense is a shambles. So if the Brentford defense is not that great at the moment, then Palace away, tough fixture, in my opinion. But after that, you've got Wolves at home, Spurs away, Brighton at home. Like, you guys have seen me talk about the defenses I like playing my attackers against. Like, this fits the bill for a team like Fulham, who know how to attack, and, you know, Joe Pesci, they know how to take advantage of such fixtures. The problem is that he's got you have problems in 15 and 16 because you got Arsenal at home and Liverpool away. So you need an attacker that fills this gap for you. By the time 15 and 16 comes, after that, again, they've got Southampton at home, Chelsea away, Bournemouth at home. So as long as you have players capable of handling 15 and 16, I think Jimenez is fine. Now you compare that to Brentford. Again, Vissa, some great fixtures. You've got Fulham away, I think, which is a decent fixture. Bournemouth at home, Everton away, Leicester home, Aston Villa away, Newcastle. The problem is 14, 15, 16 leads. Villa away, Newcastle home, Chelsea away, Forest home. So even like you said, the fixtures start diminishing. So at the moment, because I like the next 5 fixtures and I like the team and already have a piece of attack in Brentford, I'm preferring Jimenez. What do you guys think?
I also think Brentford's fixtures are okay. Like apart from Leicester at home, there's no game where I see them scoring 3 goals here. So it's trickier. But then you for
Yeah.
your 5.5 to 6 million, you need 1 goal, right? You don't need braces. Like you're getting efficiency. In fact, you need 1 goal in 2 games, unless you're Chris Wood. So I think Jimenez is great. Like I think even the Wolves guys are fine. Like given what they're doing, their fixtures, we can't look at the Wolves guys as data, right? They've had the most horrible fixtures that have been humanly
Yeah,
possible. Only
true.
now they're changing. So I think your initial instinct on Strand Larson for 5.5 is not bad either. Like I think that's
Yeah.
decent. I think people looking at Cunha with that penalty 1 million premium that they will pay, I think that's also decent. So like Chris Wood, we haven't talked about him. Like the guy keeps scoring every single game and we feel like okay, he can't keep it up, so we don't go there and we ignore him. But he's also doing well.
Can I read out the stats about Chris Wood that were on the scout notes? Because they
Something
are
like 5 goals of 8 shots or something ridiculous like this.
outstanding. I'll just read it out. Like
Yeah.
current form is a continuation of his stellar output under Santo. Since the Forest manager's first match in charge last December, Wood trails only one man in the league for non-penalty goals, and that's Erling Haaland. He's got 17, and Haaland's got 18. He's only had 100 more minutes than Haaland too. Wood's finishing has been ruthless. He's had fewer shots than 24 of the other players in these 10 months, but his 31% of his efforts have found the back of the net, and 58% of them are on target. Nobody can compete with them, not even Haaland, in terms of these percentage numbers. That's just
Unless
insane.
he's finishing is like Messi, he's been a little bit like positive variance.
It's a hot streak.
Hot
It's a
streak.
hot streak. It's a hot streak, man. It's a hot streak. I'm so sad that none of the FPL Wire managers have Chris Wood. Man. I
Wood is
wish at
exploding
least
all
one
over
of,
the place, and none of us have Wood, man.
Exactly.
yeah, it's just one of us. But is
Very
it wrong that
disappointing.
these strikers have gone above Strand Larson in my head, given the fixtures? And like I think there's more proof in the pudding when it comes to Jimenez. That's what I'm feeling at the moment.
Pens makes it better. That's it. Like I think there is
Potentially
enough there.
Pence.
Yeah, but Andreas's pen was completely rubbish. Like I don't see how with the like Jimenez, now that you watch him play, right? You can tell certain players now they feel okay, this is my team now. Like I'm leading this team. He takes shots. He's making, certain, dribbles where you feel like okay, he's confident that this is his place to lose. So you can see that he'll like I would guess there is more than a 50% chance that he takes the next penalty, which is good enough.
All right. Rankings. A lot of people in the chat are asking for our rankings and they want us to include the 6.5 million strikers, Cunha and Wood as well.
What do you
So
think
let's
about Cunha, guys? Like, is he worth 1 million plus for just penalties, or is it more open play as well?
So
More
I
than
didn't
Strand
watch the
Larson.
Brighton game. I did my stats video in the morning. Now Cunha had, I think, 5 shots and 4 chances created, or vice versa. Strand Larson, I think, 1 chance created and 2 shots. So in terms of the avenues to points, everything in that team goes to Cunha. Chance creation, shots, and he's on penalties as well. So I do think if you're going for Wolves, you don't mess around and you get you spend that 1 million extra and get Cunha. I think he's going to get you the additional points.
Zoph, you need to add the context to the game though. Like remember Brighton versus Spurs? And remember how Solanke was? And remember the stats that BJ and Son had versus a team like Brighton compared to
Your point is the runners, the pacey guys
Good
getting
point.
behind
it's,
with better.
it's the opposition that affords those kind of chances against a team like Brighton. Like I just think that like you add a pinch of salt to that stat in that sort of matchup. That's all.
That's a fair shot.
Yeah.
But
I
do
think
still
Strand Larson is good.
He's good, but I still think if you have the 1 million to spend, that's a good place to spend it.
I still think Strand Larson as well. I don't want to like again sit on the fence.
Like 1 million is a lot, no? Sorry, Ella, go on.
I think there's a good chance Strand Larson outscores Cunha.
There
And
is,
like
of
that's
course.
enough of a reason for me to save the million.
Fair enough.
Like 1 million, you're basically saying Raya plus Stan Larsen versus Flecken plus Cunha, right? You take Raya plus Stan Larsen, in my view. Like
But
1
Flecken's
million
been
makes.
outscoring Raya.
We'll see. When we get to game week 12, when the actual Arsenal fixtures start, and then we go through like the
Yeah.
big boy period of Christmas and whatever, when teams basically hunker down and they keep clean sheets, you'll see Arsenal will keep 6 on 6. It's coming,
Let's hope so. Let's hope so, man. Let's hope. I'm
Let's do
sitting
the
with a double
rankings.
defense. So.
Plus you first.
including everyone.
6.5.
So DCL number 1, of course. Um, I don't know, man. It's hard to rank these guys.
I mean, let's just talk about DCL since you mentioned him. I know it's been very, very frustrating. I can't wait to get rid of him, but you hold for this week at least.
For sure. Southampton, you have to.
I think from next week
I'm-
he's on the chopping block. I'm willing to get rid of him.
Quietly calm about DCL. I'm a believer of underlying data, and I feel like I won't
You
gain
have this
much if
patience, LR, with these misfiring forwards. I don't think I
Yeah.
do.
But it's also like a non-value position. Like I feel like it's very easy to move from a dud into a dud in this position. I don't feel like they are guaranteed gain sort of transfers. Like the only reason I would be worried is if Beto is a starter. And for those of you all that are worried that Beto might start the next game, Sean Dyche mentioned in his post-match interview that Beto still has a ways to go before understanding the defensive side of the game, which DCL doesn't. I just wanted to, because some people are worried that Beto is starting the next game. I think it's important to clarify this. So DCL is very likely to start the next game. And actually he might play both because McNeil came off injured in the 80th
That's a
minute
worry
as
for
well.
me. A big worry if McNeil is out. He's the main supply. And as it is, DCL barely gets any service. They create like 0.5 XG at home without McNeil. My God.
So,
But yes,
so
man.
rankings.
Rankings.
I
Plus-
have my rankings set.
Okay, LR, you go first then.
Jim, Vessa, Bull Striker.
We'll strike up. Stick one. I think you're clear on Larson. Save the money.
I'm safe. I'm clear on Larson.
Jim Wissa Larson for you. Pras, do you want me to go before?
Go for it.
I think for me, Wissa, I'm just quite clear that Wissa is right up there on the Wissa, Wood, and Cunha.
So I would have Jimenez. So Brighton striker from Game Week 12. I have to keep re-emphasizing. That's why I'm holding DCL until Game Week 12, because then I want a Brighton striker, whether that's Welbeck or João Pedro, whoever is fit. But then I would say Jimenez because of the fixtures and everything we talked about. I'm not that hot on Vissa personally. Like I feel Brentford's best fixtures are now behind us, especially the ones that we wanted at home. So he's not going to be in my top 3. We have to put Chris Wood, man. We can't keep ignoring Chris Wood. So I would say Jimenez, Chris Wood, and then Wolves attacker.
You think like it's a conversation worth having? Like the Arsenal away game and the City game, then 2 of the next 5 wouldn't put you off buying Chris Wood right now.
You have to find a rotation. It's a bit like cheap strikers are a bit like cheap defenders. Like you should not be playing them. So
Got it.
this is why a lot of this discussion, you have to see who else do you have, who's your 4th defender, can you play that 4th defender in that week? I would certainly not play my cheap striker against top 4 teams.
Nice. For sure.
As long as he's a penalty taker, still Pras, I don't mind as much.
Fair, but like
I mean, he scored
like
from a set piece also against Chelsea. That was his only shot of the game.
like in these games, their expected goals will be like 0.8, 0.9. And in that, then you're saying, okay, his goal share is like,
Like,
you know,
and I understand the
40%.
point you're making because like for example, look at that Ipswich fixture. It's sandwiched right between Arsenal and Man City, right?
Yeah. So rotation we have to find.
Anything else, guys? Do a sleeper plug?
Super plug, I like and subscribe plug. Yeah, I mean it's Diwali, and
Yeah.
the least we can do to ask our followers and subscribers. Zoph, you got the kurta on. Why don't you tell them?
I haven't got a kurta now. I'm actually in my PJs.
Okay. Those look like very comfy, velvety
Yeah,
sort
they
of
are
PJs.
like,
I
they
must
are
say
those
that.
velvety silky PJs. I had comfortable. I just couldn't be bothered after.
Yeah.
So properly in holiday mode. So guys, there are around 829 of you in the chat. We're doing this on a Monday, getting all the information out for you. The price changes are happening today. So hopefully you guys are getting the information you need. Please give us a like and subscribe while you are at it. We're hoping to hit, we're at what I think 36K now, Ella, in terms of subs.
Yes.
Numbers growing,
No.
we're growing about 100 a week. I think we can hit 40K end of the season.
I don't think we're at 36K though. I think we're at
To 35.6 or maybe 35.7. but yeah,
33.6, 33.6.
33.6.
But we can still hit
Yeah.
40K by the end of the year.
absolutely.
I mean, our listeners need to be a lot more generous if we have any hope of hitting 40K by the end of the season. Because at the current rate, I don't think we'll hit 40K.
I see you guys can help us change that, right? Let's do our sleeper picks for this week. And I noticed that all you guys have chosen a Chelsea win in the
This
derby.
was
This is
before
not a
Ten Hag
fun wire
news came
derby.
out. I have to say this was before Ten Hag news came out, but my prediction probably doesn't change either way.
Eddard, what do you think the margin is going to be like?
Palmer brace. I don't know. Anything on top will be the margin.
This is a bit sad, really. I don't think you guys, the manager bounce is going to make a difference, man. At home, I think it will like get you guys fired up a little bit. I just wish you guys could have waited one more week for the sacking. Unless you get Lampard, of course. I think Lampard could reinvigorate the team completely.
Yeah, Lampard or Southgate, I'm sure you want one of those two.
Yeah. I think Lampard would be, the ideal balance.
Anyway, so we are predicting Arsenal to beat Newcastle. That's not an easy game, huh?
It's not, especially if you hear that Gabriel is out. Newcastle were
But
quite
Saliba
good.
is back.
Saliba is back, I guess, yeah, but I think Baker did the whole cat and dog thing, right? With the centre backs, it makes a difference, a partnership.
Yeah.
But I think
But I
Arsenal,
think
Man
Arsenal,
City, I think Ipswich, I think we might get their first win. Liverpool also we are predicting. The Southampton versus Everton one is the interesting one. We've all gone for different results.
I didn't know about the McNeil injury. If he's out, I'll probably change my result because he's the only chance creator for them. So I would basically switch to a draw in that case. But I just think Southampton are really, really bad. Like,
they weren't bad against City, by the way. Huh? Like,
They
yes, they
impressed me
conceded a lot of.
in terms of how
They were
played.
pretty good against City. Yeah.
it's about how they go for the games. And basically, I just think there's goals for the opposition.
It was not just Pep, by the way, that was singing praises about. Did you see the match of the day post match? I think it was Bernardo Silva as well who
Yes.
gave a lot of praise
He
to
said
Russell
they should
Martin.
be much higher in the table.
Okay. So there's like 2 or 3 players who came and spoke out in favor of Russell Martin as well, which was quite nice to see. Actually, I think that's nice of just generally teams to do that and calling out good performance. And I don't think it was Pep being Pep, where he tends to praise the manager before the game. This seemed like a lot more authentic.
So just talk us guys through the various QR codes, and we have Pras, the app, the Pick'em League, and the UCL one.
Yeah, so our September league is now finished, October league, sorry. And we will announce the winners in the next pod or one of our team selection videos because we're still collecting the results. So the Pick'em League, if you want to join, it's basically you pick the result. And I think if for the regular listeners, I'm not going to repeat the whole thing, but you have to essentially pick what we have done here on what the result will be for each of the games. Absolutely free if you join the QR code for the one at the top right. That is our Pick'em League. What's the second QR code?
The top one is actually download the app.
The app, yeah. So the bottom right one is the Pick'em League. The top one is the app itself, and on the upper side is basically the UCL Pick'em League, which is basically the same concept, except that this is for a broader. It's not a wire league. It's a broader league run by Sleeper, and that's just for picking the UCL results. And the sort of prizes are fantastic. Like I think the top 3 they share $1,000 gift between them, and in our Pick'em League as well, if you win the month, the top 3 get Premier League jerseys. So we'll be shipping out another 4 in the next week or so.
Let's move on to our bus teams.
Captaincy.
Captains. Oh yeah, let's talk about captains. Let's go back to the fixture ticker this week. I mean, I guess let's look at the good fixtures. Who are the good teams? Liverpool, Brighton. I think you go for Salah. Chelsea, obviously, you could consider.
I think the captaincy has to be like Haaland or Salah this week.
Agreed.
There's no other fixture or captaincy
you just said
option.
Palmer brace a lot.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not captaining. Like we got to be serious about the captaincy now. What do you think? Where do you go?
I think if you have Salah, the upside is there, but I wouldn't necessarily make a move to bring him in. You'd possibly go for Bournemouth being frustrating, but I like Haaland still.
If you had both, who would you captain?
I would captain Salah if I had both.
Yeah, yes, that's what I'm leaning towards as well.
I'll probably go Salah as well.
I feel like Haaland's got a higher floor, weirdly, and I think Salah's got a higher ceiling in this fixture.
That being said, if I get news that KDB is fit, my decision changes.
Yeah, but if KD's fit, I think like the first thing is 30 minutes. Like I don't think he gets thrown into
he gets minutes midweek.
Yeah, fair shot. Pras, Salah for you over Haaland.
Little bit, but it's worth it. Like I think this
Yeah.
is, it's worth it. It's a home fixture versus an away fixture. And by the way, you'll be one of the very few people that will have both, right? So it's not a choice for most people, whichever one you own. It's
Yeah.
more a case of people with Haaland making to move to go to Salah. I think when they do that, they'll have captaincy at the back of their mind. So it's going to be whoever you own between the two. Only few
If
people will have both.
if I go there, I'll discuss that literally with you guys in a minute.
Let's do it. Let's bring that up. Is this your team and no, this is mine, I think. Yours is with Carvalho. Go ahead, Ella.
Yep. So I've got Raya, Lewis, Gabriel, Aitnouri, Mikalenko to come in if Gabriel is injured. And that's a decision we have to talk about. I think a lot of people have a decision between Aitnouri and Mikalenko this week. I've got Foden, Palmer, Boomer, Rogers, DCL, Havertz, and Haaland. Now I've got 2 free transfers and I've got 1.3 million in the bank. So as I spoke about last week, I've got a fair few paths. The one I'm favoring at the moment is Kai Havertz down to Jimenez or Vissa and taking Foden up to Salah. Now, obviously, I'm selling 2 good players. And let me talk about the cons of this. I'm selling 2 good players. Like I think Foden is probably just at the positive trajectory of getting into rhythm. And like I like the fixtures for Haaland, I actually like the fixtures for Foden as well. Like I think Brighton and Spurs are great for Foden as well. That said, he's not as minute secure as Salah is. And Salah's fixtures are great too. So, and plus, if I get Salah in this week, I'll captain him over Haaland. So that's the move which involves selling a good player for a better player. And then I'm going Havertz down to Jimenez. I don't mind that shift because eventually I want to turn Salah or Palmer or just leave space open for Saka. But the more I talk to Arsenal fans, the Arsenal fans tell me that actually the games in which what's happened in the last 3 or 4 games is Kai has had to do a lot of the work for the team because he's the presser from the front. These games are different from the games like Leicester and Southampton at home where Kai needs to just sit in the center of the box and the crosses to come in. He's much more better in the easier games, almost like Odegaard compared to that. So it involves selling 2 perfectly good players, which is what's making me a little uncomfortable. And instead, I could just go to Havertz down, maybe change Carvalho to Garnacho or Brent Johnson and open up a deeper squad, etc. But I feel like once I get Salah in, the advantage of getting the most expensive player also means that you're quite flexible with your team. The fact that I have Palmer, Haaland, and Salah means that I can go into whatever team structure I want to once I want to offload from that. So what do you guys think?
Definitely do the Salah move and get some money also in the bank so you can upgrade Carvalho in the future weeks. Don't max out don't go 0.0 in the bank or something. Keep some
How
cash
much will be
handy.
left once you do it?
He said he can go up to 6.5, so I'm guessing at least 0.9.
6.1 million. 6.1 million I can go up to. I just checked.
So okay, so you'll have 0.5 left over. If you go, let us say Jimenez.
Yeah, but the plan is once Salah's 3 fixtures are over, the plan is to go Salah down to Saka and fund that for Trent. Use that fund for Trent. Genuinely, that's the long-term loose plan.
I like it. But you won't have the money. Like how?
Yeah,
later on, Pras,
around
13 or 14, he'll downgrade Salah down to Saka. That will give the Trent money.
No, I will find money from elsewhere also. Like I'll move around a 50.
Because I'm also looking at that structure. You'll have to also downgrade DCL.
Yeah, I'll downgrade players as well. That's the thing. Like I'm a moving needle that way. I like figure my path 3 weeks later at that point.
So I want to get to that team by Gameweek 12, basically.
Yeah. But right now you think just Foden and Kai out is worth getting Salah?
Especially when captaincy comes into it, sure. Yeah, I think so.
But I do
Foden could go, Foden is Foden, right? Havertz is Havertz. These are 2, like you said, these are 2 excellent players. Nothing wrong with them.
Nothing wrong with them at the moment. That's the problem. So yeah, I'll still contemplate. I feel like maybe if I'm done with it tonight, then I'll just be done with it and then not think about it for the rest of the week.
I think Salah is a significant upgrade, man. Sorry to interrupt again. I think it's a no-brainer move. If you can get Salah and Haaland in, I think you pretty much get whoever you need to out.
And Zoph, would you guys make the move tonight because both Jimenez and Salah are predicted to rise?
It's not a UCL week. It's a Carabao week. I think you're fine.
I think I would, right? Like I was debating whether I should move early or not because I can afford to wait. But I feel like
the worst case you might find out that Gabriel is out for a longer period, in which case you have Mikalenko to sub in, which is fine.
All right. Pras, you would move tonight as well?
Yeah, I think so. I
All
think
right.
so. You've got a
Cheers.
good first up for Gabriel. Next week, Gabriel can become someone else, or in a couple of weeks. Like I think Mikalenko and Ait Nouri have good fixtures for next 2-3 weeks, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
Yeah.
So you can even wait till the international break for Gabriel. That's my
Right.
plan as well. Unless it's confirmed he's out for months, which hopefully isn't the case.
Fair shot. All right. Cheers. Thanks for listening, guys. I actually wanted to discuss this with you guys. So
Dude, I'd be very jealous of that team, man. You can get Salah and Haaland in for the next 3-4. I think there are big points coming. It's my team. Flecken in goal, Lewis, Mikalenko, and Nouri. I've just moved Gabriel to the bench for now to visualize how it would look in case he misses out. Rogers, Saka, Boomo, Palmer, Calvert-Lewin, Haaland, and Solanke. Gabriel and Semenyo subs. I've got 1.1 million in the bank. The initial plan was to do Semenyo to BJ and sort of like, won't have to play Rogers much over the next few weeks. Now, Semenyo's 4 yellow cards have played a part, but his fixtures aren't bad. Again, you look at the
His fixtures
fixtures.
are
fixtures are
incredible
great.
after next
It's
week.
great.
That's the thing. And like, again, Johnson has the form tailed off. And again, the fixtures, if you look at the next three, Ipswich is good, but Villa and Man City, not so much, right? That 1.1 million I'm tying in my 7th or 8th attacker, in which case I'll be playing Rogers a lot in the future weeks. It's money that's going to be tied up. I can't use in defense. I can't use to upgrade anywhere else. Do you guys think you should commit to that move?
No.
No.
In which case, just roll a transfer?
Roll the transfer, because I feel like there might be a world in which you look at a United attacker next week. Genuinely. Like that's one of my problems with committing to the Salah move is also because I don't know how to get a United attack for Leicester, Ipswich, Everton. I feel like I like that
true. That's
block.
a good point. I think especially I could go move to a Garnacho next week.
Anybody, like even Bruno might become a genuine option if he's played up front. We need to see what Root does with the team, and we need to move to the United attacker that looks the likeliest, because I feel like that block of three is great. Like if you're getting Leicester, Ipswich, Everton back to back to back, it's just a beautiful block of three.
Agreed.
So
there will be
yeah.
some sort of bounce. I don't remember a situation where manager has been sacked and there's not been any sort of with Van Nistelrooy, etc. So many home games, the opposition, the scene is set. I think United will definitely get some results over the next 4 matches.
Would that put you off committing to Mo? No,
Not
different
really,
league.
because Bo is just,
No.
you know how I am with Mo. It's like very difficult for me not to get him, and it's something I even thought about at the expense of Saka. A move I am thinking about a couple of weeks later, Solanke down to a cheaper guy, like you mentioned, and move Saka to Salah. But again, that happened around 11-12, in which case I'm like, meh, doesn't make that much sense.
You decide next week, because the prime fixture for BJ is next week, which is Ipswich at home. Like you decide which, like there's a lot of variance in play next week, I reckon. Because people might have moved off Haaland. He plays Brighton. Liverpool play Villa, which isn't an as easy fixture as we might perceive it to be. United have a great fixture and Spurs have a great fixture. So things are going to get quite interesting next week, I think.
Right. Probably roll if Gabriel is out for a while, then probably do Gabriel to Trent with the 1 million I have.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Your team, Pras?
So I have got 2 free transfers. I've got Edison, Ait Nouri, Gabriel, Enrico Lewis, and Boomo, Rogers, Saka, and Palmer, Calvert-Lewin, Solanke, and Haaland. Man, 2 free transfers is a curse. Like
not really. You can roll into 3.
So obviously, if Gabriel is out, then Solanke to Cunha or somebody or anyone, Raul Jimenez to Gabriel to Trent is one of the things. That's one option. The other option is obviously getting
Pras.
Salah.
Ipswich at home is a huge fixture for Solanke. Like if you've heard,
only if Gabriel is out, like then there is no choice. Like I'm happy to keep Solanke.
It's a 15-pointer there for the.
Yeah. You could probably sub Pinnock in for a week and get away with it, because I think the Pinnock fixture next week is decent, right?
Yeah. Pinnock is fine. Even same as Everton. Like he's okay, even though Brentford are not, but he's still okay. He still has goal threat. So I think it's fine. I'm even looking at Saka to Son. Like I feel like a lot of people are still like, I have free transfers and they're luxury transfers, or I could roll. I could, if Haaland plays 90 minutes, be convinced to sell Haaland. Like all the things are open right now. So I come here on a Monday with a lot of options open. Probably knowing myself, I'll end up rolling, doing nothing this week. But there are options open. When you have 2 free transfers, you're always thinking, right?
How much in the bank, Pras?
0.3 or 0.4. Not much.
Okay, not much in the bank.
0.3. So
All right.
like one transfer is booked for Edison to Raya, right? That's game week 12. So apart from that, I have only one other free transfer. And if you want to sort of look at my path, it's essentially Solanke down to um, maybe it could be Raul Jimenez and Calvert-Lewin down to like a Strand Larsen or a João Pedro. And that will basically afford me Pinnock to Trent. That's the plan. So then that's the team I'm talking about, which has Saka, Palmer, Haaland, double Arsenal, defense, and Trent. So
Ignore
that's,
United for the next 3.
I mean, if I have sort of triple Arsenal, if I have Haaland, if I have Rico Lewis, if I have Palmer, I don't think that team is too bad. So yeah, if I have to ignore, I'll have to ignore.
Right. For sure. What could happen though, if there's the only outlet or path that could emerge is if there's a United striker that emerges. You can move there after Ipswich at home for Solanke.
Yeah, and you don't have to get Trent immediately, right? Even after game
Yeah.
week 12, Trent is like okay fixtures for next 3-4. So you can wait. So I'm
Yeah.
just saying that's directionally where I want to go. This is why I don't want to spoil the structure too much. Like I could have done Solanke down to even a non-playing striker and get Saka up to Salah. I can do the same move as you for free. But again, I don't want to ruin that structure because long term, I think that's the structure I want.
If you moved back to the fixtures, I was looking at them. Actually, Trent is a need in, if not now, then in 15.
Yeah.
And if not in 15, in 18, because 15 is also Everton away, Fulham home, Spurs. Like I think you can almost get away with that also. So it's 15 or 18 or this week. If you're looking at weeks to get.
It's a bit like when I watch Liverpool, it's a bit like when I watch Chelsea with Palmer. Like I know it's not the same level, but as a defender, he's still taking shots. He's still taking those direct free kicks. Like I just like Trent too much. Like for me, he's above Salah. Like as a person that I want to target to get before ASAP.
I differ there. I definitely
Yes,
don't
The
get
captaincy
Salah
comes
before.
into it. So obviously it's not like for like. But what I mean is like in terms of a person that I want long term in my team. With Salah, the thing is you can't plan to have him long term and also plan to have Haaland long term and plan to have Palmer long term. But with Trent, you can have him long term even with the other guys. That's my point.
Yeah. It's only possible if Vissa and Jimenez / striker in that price bracket keep sustaining what they do.
But then I have Rogers and Semenyo and 2 cheap strikers, and I'll only be playing 3 out of them every week. And they all have good fixtures. That would be the plan anyway.
Yep. Interesting, man. It just generally talks how much of divergence is going to be there, which I think is going to be fun. So yeah, I still don't feel comfortable with selling Foden and Kai actually at the moment. So let's see where we are.
Interesting. So you're going to make the decision tonight.
Yeah, going for Pickle at 10. Come back, let the testosterone do its talking, and we'll see how we feel.
Right. We have some super chats, around 4 or 5 of them. Let's just answer them in order. First one from Raul Pinto. Foden to Saka for free, or Trent, Dawson, and Foden, Salah for -4. So he has some cash in the bank. He can move to Saka for free or move to Salah by a downgrade of Trent to a Dawson. What do you guys think?
So Saka and Trent versus Dawson and Salah.
Yes.
I like Saka and Trent.
I like Saka and Trent.
I don't know. I'm not seeing the appeal for Trent as much. I think in the limited. I'd probably go for the Salah thing because I think the Salah upside is huge for the next 3. I think
it's also a hit, no?
It has 4 points, but I think Salah outscores Saka over the next week by that 3 weeks by that much.
But then you have to transfer him back out. There's 2 transfers.
Don't have to transfer him back out, Pras. Because I'll do like look at LR's team for as an example. It's a sustainable structure. You just have to go without Trent then. It is doable. You can
it is Trent. It is Trent. Trent enables you a pretty big attack.
I think LR's team is perfectly sustainable.
That's the thinking. Zoph was also like, if I don't go Salah, I can actually go Saka plus any 8.5, 9 million striker as well. Like I've actually got money in the bank right now to directly do Foden to Saka. It's just I have Kai, so my third Arsenal spot is blocked at the moment. So
from Karthik, will you do Watkins / Son to Salah / Raul this week? Can you compare fixtures over the next 3 game weeks? Already have Haaland and Palmer. So he wants to do Watkins, Son to Salah, Raul.
I like it.
I like it.
But Son's good fixtures are also good, no?
Son has, but plus right now we're talking Villa, Man City, but obviously those are again good Son fixtures. We always talk about him like regarding against Man City, he does well.
And Ipswich.
And Ipswich, but Watkins fixtures toughen up a bit now, right? Watkins has 3 away games, and those are against Chelsea, Liverpool, and Tottenham. if I'm not wrong. So losing Watkins to fund Salah is sort of like,
Also, I
He's not a
not
fan of
sitting on the.
Son.
I don't think Son and Salah is comparable as premiums.
that's another one I was getting at. I
I
think
just
I'll do
don't
this
think they're
right.
comparable. Yeah, I don't think they're
Not long
comparable as
term. I was
premiums.
just saying next two, Son has
Yeah.
a very good fixture as well. And Aston Villa at
Yeah.
home is a good fixture as well. That's what I meant. And
Yep.
Spurs is not a tough game for Watkins either. So I'm just giving the counter view. And that's the thing about this season, right? We can disagree and like there's no right answer.
Yeah.
I just think Watkins against Spurs, he could score a brace. Like, Spurs are so rubbish.
True.
You're right there. Actually, you're right. You're right. Watkins is great against Spurs as
And
an
we're probably
option.
going to rest players midweek. They don't have Champions League this week as well. And that's another thing we should mention
Yeah.
about Rodgers. He made a comment there about Rodgers being tired. That's why he subbed him off early.
Like that's the beauty though. Like Pras, when I sold Diaz, I sought comfort in the fact that he's playing Arsenal next. So the Watkins, because if he has to get Salah, he has to get Salah this week for Brighton at home.
Yes,
There's no
yes.
point getting Salah. So like then you start looking at fixtures and pairs and start weighing out odds and percentages sort of there, because the next game is Liverpool away, which is not a good game for Watkins.
Correct.
So like seeing the
I mean, it's
pairs also-
doable. He's asking because it's a tough move.
It's
and
tough, man.
Yeah.
So
two for one, I suppose.
Genuinely is tough. Like I don't think it's a wrong. This is one of those non-wrong answers. Like I don't want to answer this question, but I do it.
From next one from PC Gamer Tag, he's letting us know he's had wood since game week 6, so we should recommend him to a doctor.
There's some superpowers he's got.
Yep. Shaunak, he's mentioning his points. No Haaland since start, wildcard and views. Best week to play the wildcard still.
This is a one
12?
for Pras.
Game week 12, I suppose. But if he doesn't have Haaland, game week 12 was a fixture swing to basically go against Haaland. He already has that team.
Right.
So wait till game week 18, find out what the mystery
He has
chip
some
is
other
and then
players
play
he's
it.
mentioned over here. He's got like Salah already, which is good enough. I think we probably use that money to get out of Salah plus around 12. Go to your Saka, Trent,
Does he
whatever
have
you're
to,
talking about.
I would just keep going, man.
I mean, it's getting to 18, 19 when it disappears anyway, so might as well
Yeah.
use it around 12.
Could do, but the only advantage of waiting is you find out what the mystery chip is by game week 16, 17, 18.
True. But yeah, so I think if you have to look for a window, 12.
Yeah.
Next one from Chris. He has a wild card and 2 free transfers. He has Calvert-Lewin and Delap. Thoughts on cheap forwards? Larson, Raul, Welbeck, Wissa. He also has Salah and Haaland. He wants to do Eze and Trent. That is out for Palmer and Ait Nouri. I like those moves.
We did that move similar last
Yes.
week.
I'm so glad he brought up Eze, by the way. Add him on your watch list. Like he looked good against Spurs. I
That
don't know if
pass
that was
was so good.
Spurs. And even
Yeah, the
outside of
backheel
that, there
pass,
were
right?
three or four good shots from inside the box. I think he's got I prefer him with Mateta than I prefer him with Nketiah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they have a great chemistry between them. They like to play their flicks and one-touch passes to each other. So watch out for him. He could be very important in the November-December period that we have incoming, in my opinion.
We have a message here from the Stig, who's on break from driving duties. A lot more than we realized the top 100K have both Haaland and Salah. It hasn't gone wrong.
I
I
know.
mean, that was Pras's start to the season.
That was my high-flying start to the season. And it's gone wrong since not having that. So I get it. But then those people who don't have it don't have to chase it. There are other good players as well.
Yeah, but if you had those two guys that pretty much would, I think that's all you needed. You'd be in the top 100K.
Yeah, I mean, I think the frustrating bit has been the 3 for 3, 0 clean sheets has been frustrating when it comes to Arsenal, especially like sitting on double Arsenal defense. Like that's felt like a brutal part. Like I feel like you just need those 6-8 points every week to supplement your ranks to make those slow gains. And when like committing to the best defense of the league and that doesn't come through, that's painful. But you have to be patient. I feel like weirdly enough, I don't know why, but FPL is just a momentum game. Like I'm telling you, one good green and you'll get 3 or 4 in a row. It just tends to happen. Do you guys believe that?
It's not been happening this season. The season is 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or like the other way around, right? 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Because there's somebody just there with a haul around the corner you don't own every week.
Yeah.
That's the unique part.
But momentum is a thing. Like
It
it's
is.
not just got to do
momentum
with
and
luck.
confidence also, right?
I mean, but
Like it,
more than that, I feel if your players do well, then your momentum is basically that other people are using transfers to get to players you have. And so then
you're moving ahead.
you're moving ahead. So that is
Yeah.
so it's not just getting lucky every week by chance. You are then, if you're unlucky. So let's say I had Salah, right? Game week 1, 2, 3. I got lucky with Salah. Game week 4, what did everybody do? They bought Salah. Salah blanked. So the bad luck that I got, everybody joined me in the bad luck, and then I got good luck in the first 3 weeks. A bit like, if
Yeah.
Palmer had blanked this week, Ella would have
Yeah.
said, so what? This week everybody got Palmer. I got my luck with Palmer in the weeks before this. So there is momentum for sure.
Yeah. Palmer should have hat trick this week though.
He did. I
He's
mean,
just so good.
he should have
He's
got
just
the
so good,
penalty.
man.
It was not a
He's
penalty, but he was close to getting a
Yeah.
pen and the disallowed goal.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've had a clear favorite player in the league. Like ever since, like outside of United, ever since Aguero left, like I haven't found. I think Palmer's comfortably that for me. Like I don't like watching any other footballer as much as I enjoy watching Cole Palmer.
So
Like
blue
he's,
alert.
yeah. Like you're lucky. You don't understand how good he is. Like I genuinely, I think you understand how good he is, but I feel like he's the best player in the league. Like I can't believe how Southgate didn't play him. I genuinely don't. Like I understand you've got other talented into it, but Palmer's a different level. I just think that turn and that pass, it's insane.
That one
He looked
pass,
for
oh my
literally,
God.
he looked for a microsecond, and he looked how much processing must have happened to play him ahead of the defender just in line for Neto's run. That's insane to pull off. Like it's insane. It's so ridiculous. Like. And the fact is, it's not that he did it after having 5 seconds to think about it. He literally had a microsecond to pull that pass off. Like that's the mind-blowing part about that pass.
Have you guys seen
Anyway,
that I just blew myself GIF?
no,
From
I
Arrested
haven't.
Development. But that guy, he's just basically, his face is all blue, and I just blew
Yeah.
myself.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe the chat
No.
gets what I'm talking about, but that's what this sounded like. But yeah, super
Yeah.
chat from Abhishek. Should I do Gabriel and Johnson to a sub 4.8 defender and Salah? I guess Gabriel and Johnson they must have a lot of money in the bank, I guess. If Gabriel is out, we really like that move.
Yeah.
I think that
I'm just
becomes quite
uncomfortable
easy.
people selling out of Arsenal, man. Like, don't forget they're the second best team. Like, just because Liverpool have 2 good fixtures. Like, okay, if Gabriel is out long term, but I see a lot of people losing faith in Arsenal, where I have complete faith in Arsenal. Like, especially after game week 12, and we're only 2 game weeks away from game week 12. Like, I see teams with zero Arsenal right now, and I just feel like they'll be scrambling. Like, we'll be sitting here in game week 12 pod and saying which are the 3 best Arsenal players to pick.
Right. So yeah, Abhishek, I think if Gabriel is out, do the move. If not, I think probably stick.
All right. One player I think that deserves mention that we haven't mentioned, and for Ongo, right? When do we start taking Nicholas Jackson seriously?
I was going to say the same. It's from Yash's post, right? I agree with you.
Yeah. When do we start taking him seriously? Like, what's he done that's wrong? I don't think Nkunku and Palmer work like Jackson and Palmer works.
No,
Generally,
absolutely,
I don't
because
think that works.
Jackson was terrorizing the centre backs. The Newcastle couldn't keep up with his movement. Just constantly dragging players off the ball. But again, I guess if he was getting double returns, you'd be looking at it. But he's getting pretty much the same points as the budget forwards now.
But I have a different problem. I have a different problem. Game week 14 is a midweek. And Maresca has already shown that he's running on 2 tapes. It just does not work that he will play the same team Sunday, midweek, Saturday. He won't. So I just don't like it from that point of view. During Christmas period, going for strikers that you can't be confident start every single game versus other strikers that are on penalties and start every single game that are cheaper, it's hard. Like he'll do well, but it's hard.
That's all it is. They're just cheaper forwards with X-Men security and penalties doing the business. It's a good option otherwise.
I want to ask you then, while you guys have 5 minutes, right? Like just generally, if Kai doesn't block a third Arsenal spot, imagine there are 4 Arsenal spots. Do you think he's the best striker in that 8 million bracket?
I would say Jackson just goes above him.
Just above him, despite the minutes doubt. Yes. Like because Kai's untouchable for Arsenal. He's one of the untouchable. Minutes not an issue with him. Like, what do you think?
It's close, and I think it would be very fixture dependent. I think if it's a good run of fixtures, like you said, your Southampton, Leicester, and all, where like Kai is pure focal point, I like Kai because he doesn't have to do the dirty work then.
with Havertz is always the same discussion. I think he's the best after Watkins in terms of strikers. But the difference between Havertz and the next best striker is less than the difference between second Arsenal defender and the next best Arsenal. So this is why always for me,
And
I
Saka's
still end
not
up
compromisable.
and
in
Saka
your
is
head.
not compromisable. So for me, it's always going to be doubled Arsenal defense plus Saka. That's where Havertz doesn't come into it. That's why short term I had a fling with him on Wildcard, but just long term I feel that's my problem with Havertz. He's a great pick. He's the best. He will score the most points. But that's that difference between the next best defender and the next best attacker.
For sure. For sure.
Yep.
That's also a path option, by the way. Pras, when if you go Salah and you wanted to spread that cash back, you can downgrade a cheap defender to Jackson instead of and delaying the Trent upgrade for
Yeah.
later.
So Solanke to Jackson, that's an option. That is something I'm considering, but it would be short term. Or
Yeah.
Højlund. So that's the Man United path. So this is why I don't want to lose this structure. I love my structure.
For sure. For sure.
And I don't think the benching is really an issue, but what you mentioned, the whole Europa thing, because he's very capable of playing 3 a week. And what he offers right now, tactically, I don't see Nkunku coming up for that game.
No, he is, but Maresca is also managing, like, have you heard of João Felix in the Premier League? Have you heard of Nkunku, like, other than 20 minutes? There's so many world-class players at Chelsea that I'm just saying that the minutes at some point will get compromised when the midweek games are also Premier League games. That's my point.
And I think there's also a yellow card situation with Jackson, whether he's on 3 or 4, I'm not sure. But he will eventually lose one game because of suspension.
3, I think. I think the only ones that are on 4 are the ones we own is Eight Nouri, Semenyo,
No.
and there's one more guy.
3.
I've-
I've checked the FPL page. 3.
There's one more guy. Who's the third guy?
Palmer.
Oh, yeah,
shit,
Palmer.
Palmer is on 4.
Palmer's
Bloody
on
hell.
Palmer's on 3.
3.
3.
Palmer's the same number as Jackson, 3.
All right,
Let's-
we'll figure it out. We'll figure it
Yep,
out.
we'll figure it out. Anyway, one last super chat from them to just wrap this up. Sandeep's asking, is McNeil still a hold? Can switch to Garner on free transfer. I think it's pretty easy. If McNeil is fit, you keep him for Southampton. Get Garnacho next week.
Yep.
Cool.
Agreed.
Let's wrap up.
So
right,
players on
cheers.
4. Kluivert, Semenyo, Hughes, Lukic, Morsey, Ayew, Menu, Dan Burn, Joe Linton, Van de Ven. So he's the fourth. He's the third popular player. Van de Ven, Eight Nouri, and Semenyo. So sorry, we were saying goodbye.
All right, that's it, man. That's it. That's nice. I like that little 10-minute end of the just like some points that we missed out on discussion today. Anyway, happy Diwali, guys, to you and your family, to both of you and your families, as well as to everybody watching us. It's the time to spend some good time with your family, eat some good food, and just generally wishing that this year's lovely for you guys. Take care, guys.
Happy
Last
Diwali,
words?
everybody.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Happy Diwali. There'll be no content, I think, over the next couple of days. We'll be back with our team selection videos towards the end of the week. Hopefully, we have some clarity on injuries and the cup matches also by then. Have a great Diwali. We'll see you again next week.
Take
Bye.
care, guys. Bye-bye.